Well, first off, I want to say this. Markets are extremely emotional. And basically, the markets reacted to Ben's talk, which was not even that extreme. But they reacted to it almost like H.G. Wells' 1930-something radio talk about the Martians have landed and the people jumped off the freaking roofs. You know what I mean? That's what the investors did. But it's all psychology. I know it. Markets are a lot of it psychology. Fundamentals are one thing, but psychology is a major point. But Peter Schiff had some good stuff. And, I don't know if this is going to come about. I read about the $12, $15 silver from other places, too. Some people act like it's already in the bag. You know what? Nobody knows this, though. That's the whole deal. Because, really, the markets are actually controlled a lot by Ben. But Ben did not make any earth-shattering predictions out here or any kind of things. He says that, he basically says as a result, Ben basically said that he would begin to bring back the quantitative easing sometime later this year if the economy continued to improve the way he expected to. Now, first off, he's got, I read things different, but, everybody gets all emotional. But, I would read this like, if the economy continues to move. You know what? He's talking about later this year. He's not going to be the Fed chairman, come in 2014. And Janet Yellen may not be the one, but there's another guy in there talking about extreme QE. He's getting more vocal and stuff. Forgot who it was, but there's another guy. But either way, they're going to do more QE. So he's saying if things continue the way he expected them to, quite obviously things are continuing to go that well because there is a major slowdown in China, and copper is really telling you what's going on in the entire world. They don't call it Dr. Copper for nothing. But, I'm going to point something else out that, this thing was basically like a joke and a half. It's almost like, I know it's not funny that your silver prices are going down in dollars, but, if it went up to 35, I still wouldn't be selling it. I'd just be feeling better. That's really what it would be. I wouldn't be selling it. I'd just be feeling better. That's all. So it's all psychology. You're not going to sell it till, I think I'm going to sell some around a little over, maybe, I think when it busts solidly through 50, like 60, like if it gets up 60 or something like that, and maybe sell a little bit, like 100 ounces or something, it's $6,000. It's not cheap. But I'm going to tell you this. When silver gets up to, say, 75 or whatever, I'm not sure, when it gets up that high, I'm going to be getting really nervous because I'm not sure how high it's going to go. Because maybe 75 or 100 might be it. But when it gets up that high, I expect all the commodities to pretty much run together. So if silver's up to, say, $75, gasoline might be $15 a gallon, no problem. No problem. $12 a gallon, $15 a gallon, no problem. Easily $8 a gallon. So I'm going to get on to some more automotive updates and stuff. And your food prices, actually, when you think about the silver prices of 8, 12, and 15, that's going to be your gasoline price in the future when silver goes up. And you're going to need that silver just to survive in a lot of cases. Because not everybody's got like tons and tons of silver, A lot of people just have it for like it's going to be a hedge against catastrophic collapse. But I also want to say this, common sense about catastrophic collapse. How does the government work? Do they pay the people in silver? No, they pay them in dollars, right? They pay them in, electronic funds or cashola, whatever. But the point I'm making about that is if they lose control of the dollar completely, they basically lost control of the whole governmental apparatus, which includes the Obama healthcare system, which is total control. That's why the dollar is not going to go to oblivion. I doubt that very, very much. Well, if it does go to oblivion, we're going to get invaded by a foreign power, man. I'm telling you right now. I think that's going to be the last thing you're going to have to worry about is some silver coins. You're going to be, you're going to be wondering if you have like enough ammunition and food to survive and stuff like that. If the dollar went to oblivion, I'm talking about. So I'm kind of like leaving that out of the equation because it's like the whole government and so you got to remember the problem with the government is not the government itself. It's like, government of the people, by the people, for the people. The problem is we got the big bucks and the power, the money power, the elite that control the government and use it to their own ends to get more. That's always been a problem, right? It's always been a problem throughout the ages, right? So, supposedly that's why we have the checks and balances and things like that. But the thing is, if the fiat dollar goes to oblivion, basically the government goes to oblivion too. Nobody's, like, in other words, how would anybody get paid? Everything would fall apart. But, you don't want to hope for that. Because if that happens, we're actually in a World War III situation probably or something like that. So that's really super duper gloom and doom. But, if that situation happened, they would have to fix something, but it's not going to be like a nice, glorious reset. So actually your food and some of your supplies are very important. But it looks like Ben Bernanke, maybe his next thing he might hint at, and this is according to Schiff. Now, I don't know if Ben Bernanke's necessarily going to do this, though. I'm going to use my devil's instinct on this because it would make sense that he's going to try to talk about increasing quantitative easing. But will he? See, I realize that the silver community in general is extremely stupid, and all the gold bugs are extremely stupid by criticizing the hell out of Ben Bernanke and the fiat dollar. They should have just laid back and they said, wow, the dollar's going up. They shouldn't have been so much hammering this guy like he's the biggest evil guy in the world, because basically they're going to fight to keep the dollar afloat, and they don't want to look bad. So you're giving them extra incentive to fight you back. If that's your enemy, you don't want to have an extra incentive to fight you back even more. But here's another thing though. Bernanke talked about, and this is something where you can actually bring something out against with Bernanke or whatever you want to say it's against him. Bernanke talked about the Fed is not monetizing the government's debt. But in reality, the central bank has been buying nearly 70% of all the new issuance in the recent years. So without the central bank buying, there's the interest rates would go flying up. And what I'm saying is, this whole game with all these central banks getting in so much debt everywhere, if the interest rates fly up, it's going to take up their entire governmental budget. So they're going to keep doing QE. But it's amazing. I compare the way the markets reacted, almost like the H.G. Wells radio broadcast in the 1930s about the Martian Invasion. And they're saying all along that the Martian Invasion is not, this is just a radio broadcast, this is just like, a fun thing, and they're always putting it, and people still believed it. They jumped off of freaking roofs and everything else. And that's basically how the market reacted to Ben's stuff when he talked about when he talked about, he said, we're going to possibly back off on QE if things turn out later this year how I expect them to. Well, that's a lot of freaking fluff talk, and I know that's a lot of fluff talk because he's going to be gone. The next person's going to have the helm. He's talking because he's been known as the QE helicopter Ben guy, right? So he's going to throw some words in there like, oh, no, I'm not really, but he's on his way out. He's got 6 months to go, right? Max, right? That's all he's got. And basically, 3-4 months from now, he's basically dead in the water, right? Even though he might be at the helm, he'll be talking about the next one. So this is just a nice bunch of talk. So he kind of deflates his helicopter Ben, reputation. That's all that shit was. But the market took it like the H.G. Wells Martians broadcast. And they're freaking jumping off the roof. Ah! Let's just hope they do that the other way. Because, that's the part sometimes I can't figure. And actually, to tell you the truth, the best of the best, I figured that when he was talking about taper, I'm thinking, oh shit, we're in for a long summer. That's what I thought. And I'm thinking, damn, we're going to start seeing the metals go down a little bit. That's what I was thinking. I didn't expect it to get like one day like that. And to tell you the truth, nobody figured that either. But, as a general rule, when you start talking like that, you figured that it would take a hit. Not the way I thought it would, but, but I don't like shorting the metals anymore. Because right now, I'm in it for like it's a matter of principle. I don't like this shit, these banks and these bureaucrats and even the people that don't work for the government that are basically involved in this bureaucratic bullshit, and they're a bunch of paper pushing government form filler outer jackasses. I don't like those kind of people, man, to tell you the truth. And that's actually what's wrong with the whole American middle class economy in itself. We got freaking gazillions of trillions of dollars being spent on bureaucratic nonsense that produces nothing. As a matter of fact, I mean, you could say, yeah, you got people that need a lot of brains to do this and that, but how about figuring out the architectural construction of a bridge versus figuring out all the freaking tax loopholes you can freaking jump through, right? I mean, do something that's actually constructive for people versus, going with the red tape and the bureaucracy. That's really the problem with the United States. It's not the problem with the United States. Why it's actually getting clobbered. It's not because the Chinese worker works so much less. It's like we got a tons of bureaucracy going on in here. But anyway, the markets reacted like H.G. Wells broadcast about the Martians in the 1930s. And, Ben didn't state that. He didn't state that. And, it's just a bunch of freaking feel-good talk. Because basically he's talking about, like, he's going to end QE almost if this happens. Or slow it down if this happens. He's on his way out. He's on his way out. He's got criticized so much for being helicopter Ben, so he wants to say some stuff so that he isn't helicopter Ben. That's all that bullshit is. I don't know why these guys see it that way, but, I don't know why emotional freaks jump off bridges, too. I don't know why freaks believe the H.G. Wells Martians. Today they believe about David Icke's lizard people controlling the world, right? I don't know. That shit I'm not going to be able to figure out. So, but, that's why probably when it goes up, it's probably going to go up higher than I think it's going to go, because people are going to be freaking out. Because they freaked out on the way down, they're going to freak out on the way up. I'll probably sell too early. Probably. Because, I'll be thinking, why the hell would anybody pay more, say it went up to 150? I'd be really nervous then. Why would anybody pay 200? That's what I'd be thinking. Maybe they'd pay 400, right? For a little while, too, because they'd be freaking out. Well, that's why I'm going to probably hold some back in the long run. So that'll even be gone if it goes that high. So anyway, just chill out, The markets are all emotions, and a lot of it is emotions. So in silver, you're going to be all over the place with that. But, I've been in the accounting and finance field, and I don't like just being an accountant. I don't like just being in finance. I don't like just pencil piece. I like being in where the devils are. So, this is the devil's metal. So I'm going to continue doing this, because I think this might be my deal, man, because, I don't know, I might fit in with the devil's metal, because I seem to fit in with the devils. So, just chill out, though. This shit's going to go up, but when it goes up, you probably, you would probably hear what, 8, 12, 15 bucks, that's probably going to be the price of gas when silver goes up. So you're going to need that silver, trust me. And that means food's going to be up and everything else. So you're going to need that stuff.